I truly think that the best and most useful and smartest thing you can do in any room is go, I don't know how that works. Could you explain it to me? Because people love, especially in games, everyone loves what they're doing. They love talking about it. That's why we're here on a Sunday morning, because we like talking about what we do.
If you talk to a different technical artist, they'll tell you a completely different answer to me. But what I did was mainly researching and developing things, and in the most case it was like, yeah, visual elements of the game, like writing shaders, and yeah, if you've ever written a shader, it's weird because you write some code and then rather than like a thing happening, like an image happens. And so yeah, it's sort of somewhere between programming and artistry. And yeah, other than that, I've spent a lot of time, you know, kind of getting to like either preparing tools and workflows for artists, for the 3D artists to turn concept art into this visual style. And then once I'd kind of made those tools, it's kind of, you know, talking to them and finding out ways that I can improve their life, like what's horrible about working on this project. I'm going to try and fix that for you.
Sure.
Yeah. The reason that it looks like, you know, a comic book or a Saturday morning cartoon, which is kind of what we were going for, the reason that it looks like that rather than like a realistic Call of Duty-esque game, that's a shader. There's also, you know, there's artistic decisions that go into, you know, how you make things in proportions, but the reason that the colors are the way on screen like that, the reason that the lighting is, there's cell shading and, you know, the reason that there's edges around everything, that's the result of a shader. I'm going to sound very facetious, but the main skill you need is being able to Google things. Like, you know, I have programmer friends and they have been very nice and said that, you know, you program like an artist. And that's true, I do program like an artist.
Wow.
You know, hopefully I don't make art like a programmer, but no one's ever been that daring to say that. But yeah, it's the main, especially when you're like a junior level, when you become more senior, you can become like, you know, a subject matter expert or some, you know, term like that. But like when you're coming up, like really you just need to know how to like solve problems and put out fires. And there's going to be lots of those. So yeah, if you can do that, you could be a technical artist, I think.
So QA is quality assurance. And in terms of putting out fires and things, I think we're more the people that go, there's a fire over there. Hello, anyone? Fire?
We're familiar with that,
yeah.
I think.
So yeah, we tend to be more the people that will find issues within the games or look specifically for issues within the games. And that could literally be anything. That could be functionality. It could be art, for that matter. You know, it could be something to do with the shaders have gone wrong. We don't have shadows anymore, or the lines have all disappeared, or they're all bright pink, or whatever's going on. Could be audio issues. But we also look more for the user experience side as well. So it's not just this isn't working. Sometimes it's working, but it's not great. It's not very fun. It's not very intuitive, etc. I have a particular passion for accessibility within games as well, so sometimes it's a case of, look, it's working and it's fun for me, but it won't necessarily be fun for everybody. Some people will struggle with this, whether that's the controls, the visuals, the sound, whatever it might be. Sure. So yeah, we tend to just sort of poke everybody and go fix it. And sometimes within QA it can be hard to sort of say, this is working like this. Is that right? Is it meant to be doing that?
Yeah, this is weird. Is it intentionally weird?
Yeah, especially on a game like OlliOlli, which is, you know, very, very sort of fanciful and has that style. And yeah, I think we called up at least 2 puns in the dialogue as saying that's spelt wrong, and we're told no, it's a joke. Yeah.
I was literally about to say it was place, like the fish, like PL, and I got it bugged on QA, and I was like, don't worry about it, guys, it's a joke.
we meant
perhaps,
that one.
But
yeah. So apparently we have no sense of humour.
On OlliOlli, I wrote about half of the levels on DLC 2, and then for the DLC previously to that and the main game, I was mostly doing little bits of writing, editing, helping Liz out, doing like kind of research and bits and pieces like that.
Something we always try and do at Roll7 is just go. You know, you're always going to have, you know, a paradox of choices in a video game. Just we discuss it. And we're like, let's pick that one, go. And once you've gone down that path, you'll see whether it's right or wrong, and you can kind of twist and pivot as you go. So it's important to just kind of explore, and hopefully these guys will kind of back me up. But there's a culture where you can just explore and not worry about making a mistake.
So I think Tom used the word discovery while he was speaking, and like I think, yeah, when you make video games, like with most other media, you can kind of set down with an intention and kind of make that thing. Whereas like with video games, like there is a discovery phase that is much larger than any other medium, because yeah, you can be the best designer in the world, but you can design a game and then find out, oh, like this just isn't fun, or this doesn't have the emotional resonance that we expect. So yeah, a lot of like, this might be a controversial opinion, but a lot of bad games that come out were doomed from the beginning because they didn't have any discovery time. So yeah, you just have to make discovery time, and you have to make hard choices. And Tom talked about like pivots and changing the amount of game that we made and stuff like that. Like yeah, you have to be kind of flexible.
Even within QA, I feel like we have the freedom to go to designers and to go to artists and say, this would be kind of cool, or have you tried this? Or I was playing this other game recently and it did it like this, could we maybe try that? That sort of idea. I coined the phrase on that Tuscany trip of Roll7 doing a lot of not design by committee, but design by community. And it's the whole team getting involved, and I think that helps make sure that the games that we're making are games that we all believe are amazing.
So I think everyone gets an opportunity to say what they think about the game. So we have sessions, it's what are your 3 things? And it can be anything, and we try and encourage one of them to be positive as well, because sometimes when you're in development, people can just go, this is broken,
especially
I don't
QA.
like that. This is that. And yeah, we go around the whole table or around the Zoom panel, and yeah, everyone gets a chance to input.
So when I joined, and I'm doing like admin, like literally just all of the stuff, like organizing, like putting banners out, getting coffee, like all of that, like the most, in a way, like the most kind of like lowly role there or whatever. But then when we'd have meetings, it would be a full team meeting. I'll be sat around the table with everyone else, with the directors of the company, everyone, and people would be like, "What's your opinion on this gameplay? How do you feel about this?" And my opinion would be taken every inch seriously. And I really remember one of the really defining moments for me when I started the job was being at the table very, very early on in character customization. And there was various different things. And there was like a couple of skirts. And I so remember, especially being a kid and stuff, getting into a game that was like cool, and a skateboarding game, whatever. And there's like one skirt and it's ugly, and being like, oh, I guess I have to, that's what I get then. And I said to, like, kind of offhandedly, I was like, oh, it'd be cool if we had like some more skirts or maybe some dresses. And I'm not joking, we came back like a fortnight later and there must have been a dozen new ones, and they were really cool. And I am so serious, there's a few dresses in that game that I keep being like, if I went on Spoonflower and printed out some fabric, could I make myself that? Like, they are things that I would wear in real life that I absolutely love. And that was like so cool, because like, I'm not an artist. I have no kind of, whatever, but I was there, step forward, say that, and it was taken on a level with anything anyone else said, and I thought that was really, really good. I learned like everything in that role, and I'm so, so glad I did that before getting into writing, actually. And it's funny because, so when I first was starting looking for jobs in games, I was like applying for narrative things. And the thing is that obviously, like everyone wants to be a writer, right? So there's like heaps of applications, and you're always up against like everyone and their mum, and they're all really talented and blah, blah, blah. So I was in a like Women in Games mentorship program, and my mentor basically said to me, like, you would be better off just looking at getting a job in the industry and then working from there. So that's what I did, and I applied to do the admin role. But doing admin, the thing about it is it's a role that I guess perhaps even more so than any of the other things is totally cross-project, right? Like if people need, like, I don't know, what boxes of snacks sent to them, regardless of what project they're working on, you need to send them to everybody. And so you end up talking a little bit to pretty much everybody. And that gives you the opportunity to do my favorite thing, which is being nosy and going, what do you do? How does that work? I truly think that the best and most useful and smartest thing you can do in any room is go, I don't know how that works. Could you explain it to me? Because people love, especially in games, everyone loves what they're doing. They love talking about it. That's why we're here on a Sunday morning, because we like talking about what we do, right? And
or just generally.
Yeah, right. But like people want to share with you. And so I think having a job like that where you kind of get to have a little bit of insight on what everyone's doing, because you're having to schedule around like, oh, okay, this is a production milestone. What's a production milestone? How does that work? Who is involved with that? What are QA doing? All of this stuff. It gives you this oversight of the whole of the kind of company in the industry, which then taking that forward then as a writer, you're not just isolated doing your little, you know, doodles in the corner or whatever. You're sitting writing, but you're thinking, oh, I understand how, like, you know, someone has to program like a tool for me to put this into the game, or, oh, if I write this, I need to let the art team know because they're going to need to do art of it. Generally, my experience has been that from the outside, it all feels very opaque and very kind of baroque and strange, and I didn't understand how anything worked, and you can do your best, but even just writing an application, I'm like, I don't even know what I should be writing here to be appealing. Like, I think I know I could do this, but I don't know how to communicate that. Whereas once you've got in there, it's a very friendly kind of like welcoming space, or it has been to me at least. And I definitely think, and it's probably true of a lot of industries, once you have your foot in the door and people know who you are, it's a lot easier to get places and to be connected to things. Whereas from the outside, often it is a bit of a brick wall and you're sort of like, I just don't know. I don't even have a preconception. I'm unsure what's going on in there.
Yeah, so I mean, I think like most people started with QA with a view of doing something else. Part of my problem is, in addition to the autism, I also have ADHD. So I want to do everything all of the time, which is exhausting. But it meant that, you know, I was in a position that I could demonstrate abilities within production and design and various other things. And even to some extent writing. You know, I pitched something to Liz recently, and you know, she loved it. So
It was very cool.
so you know, what I found, I think, in particular, again, QA at Roll7, and I can't speak for the rest of the industry. I know I can't speak for the rest of the industry. Is that we do get to be involved in a lot of things, and I get to sort of stretch some of those, you know, design sinews in my brain, and some of the more artistic bits and those sorts of things as well.
What inspires you in the industry? Who else are you looking at? What, you know, games, companies, people out there, are people or, you know, things that you go, I wish I'd made that, or, you know, that's the kind of, you know, that gives you inspiration for shows you the path that you want to, you know, head down.
I think I might speak for a lot of people on the team, and it came out whilst we were developing, but Hades is a game. Yeah. And basically, I didn't play it when it came out, and Slack was just about Hades, basically. And I eventually got around to playing it, because I'm like, what's all the fuss about? But I think, for me, that's kind of like almost a perfect implementation of taking a theme, taking the narrative, weaving that into how the game is played and why you play the game. And I think looking at that, it's really inspirational to get the whole game loop revolves around what the theme of the game, which is really interesting. It's something, you know, we'd really like to do in the future.